Welcome to Beyond Reality, where we talk about clinician journey and breakthroughs in virtual reality rehabilitation.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast conversation. Today we have some really interesting content for all of you to watch, and today we have joining us is Danny Tinoco, who is a neurological exercise specialist at SCI Fit in Sacramento, California, which is a fully adaptable gym that uses virtual reality to enhance their therapy for all populations who come into their facility every single day. Today's topics will include usages of virtual reality, some patient testimonies as well as therapist testimonies, and just some really cool ways to show all of you out there who are interested show you how virtual reality can be used within a clinical setting and a rehabilitation setting in general, as well as some educational backgrounds on why it should be included in some of the literature for those who are going into PT school, OT school, or the neuro field in general, and how virtual reality can impact those lives of the therapists and patients who use that. So without further ado, my name is Drew with Neuro Rehab VR, and please stay tuned for the rest of this video. Thanks.
Hear a little bit about your background and what motivated you to pursue a career in spinal cord injury and affected populations.
Yeah, of course. So I graduated from Sac State, have my degree in exercise science with a clinical rehabilitation emphasis. Right out of college, I worked at an outpatient physical therapy clinic, and that works with like knee replacements, hip replacements, and stuff like that. We really didn't get too many neuro patients there, but whenever we did, it had a different feel. One of the physical therapists I was able to follow, he kind of taught me a lot about what it's like working with this type of population, because this is what he'd love to do. And yeah, he showed me that while it can be pretty intimidating, it's probably the most rewarding field, because every time you come in, people come in, they're ready to work, give it 100%, no matter the situation, trying to get better 1% every day. But just seeing that really inspired me to want to pursue a career in the neuro field. And from then, I found SCI Fit, reached out, and I've been here for almost 5 years now.
Wow, nice. So you kind of found that calling a little bit later into your journey, you'd say?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, even in school, like we didn't really, like the whole neuro section in school was not as long as it needs to be, I think. There's so much to learn, there's so much to know, and it's very, very interesting. Like I said, it can definitely be intimidating at first, but once you dive in and find that passion, I think it's a lot easier to bring your 100% in.
Yeah, I agree too. I feel like also like me having come here too, and you know, kind of dive into affected populations and work with a lot of them. I kind of felt like also looking back on school, like it really just felt like a small chapter. Like a lot of people can't even really experience the, like you said, the fulfillment you get with working with these individuals just by going over that one, chapter per se. But yeah, no, that's really cool. Next one is, can you recall a specific challenge or setback in your career that ultimately shaped who you are as a clinician today?
It's kind of hard to call it a setback, but I think it really has to do more with my experience with the physical therapist that showed me pretty much the ropes and how it works and stuff like that. It just opens up your mind to a whole different world, right? Different perspectives, different things you probably never really thought of, right? But if I had to find a setback, I mean, I think it would definitely be, it would have to definitely be in school. Again, like we're talking about how that subject isn't really taught enough. Even in our like motor learning class and stuff like that, while it does touch on the motor learning aspect and how that stuff works, you don't really go into like neuroplasticity. You don't go into like nerve regeneration.
Just the basic level kind of.
Just super, super basic, and I think that is probably the first setback without even knowing it was a setback.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like if you learn all of that stuff early on, it again opens up your mind to that whole other side, and instead of feeling like intimidated or not really sure of how it works, you're a lot more confident going into it.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of people too who have that, that first bachelor's degree, you don't really know about it until like you just happen to pick, that sort of like people who go into a doctorate program and things like that end up there. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of skipped over a lot too for those that are just in their bachelor's degree and pursue like strength conditioning like a lot of people do at first. Just because it's the comfort of the classes and everything you learn. But yeah, no, that's cool too. So next one is describe a particularly memorable experience with a patient that reinforced your passion for spinal cord therapy.
Oh man, that's, from the time you were here, you definitely see people's reactions to, man, I can do these things, right? Their whole life or since their injury, doctors, family members, the public, often see somebody in a wheelchair and think they can't do anything for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, while it is very nice to go run up and open the door, hey, is it okay if I help you, this and that? A lot of times, they don't need your help. You know what I mean? But we just assume as a general population that, oh, I see somebody in a wheelchair, I must help them. They need my help. When that's not necessarily the case. So back to your question, it kind of happens every day. There's one that I can remember specifically of one of my clients. He had a spinal cord injury, lumbar, it was thoracic. And I remember specifically one day, because I met him early on through his journey, when he was still in a wheelchair and stuff like that. And I remember him specifically talking about the cushion he was in. Right? Like, I hate this cushion, I hate this. I was like, okay, well, let me help you try and find something new, and this, like that. And then his wife even said, like, it doesn't matter the money, like, let's try and get you something that's gonna keep you comfortable. But then I remember him specifically turning his wheelchair around as he was going away, and he said, you know what, like, I don't want you to live for long because I'm not gonna need it. You know what I mean? And just hearing somebody say those words, it's really inspiring, because again, everyone's told you that, you're never gonna walk again, you're never gonna be able to do this, you're never gonna be able to do that. But just to see people's determination to prove them wrong is huge, right? And now that same client comes here, and he's completely ambulatory. Now it's more of just, like gait training and balance and stuff like that. He no longer needs a wheelchair. He doesn't use a walker. He's super strong, and just to see the confidence he has now, it's just like, you can't really put it into words. You know what I mean? Like, it makes you feel like you're doing something. Right? You are making a difference, and that happens every day in here. We get people that come in and they don't even want to try sometimes because I've been told no, and then I love being able to help them find the words to say I can, or I can try. Right? I can't right now, but in the future I definitely will be better, and maybe I'll be able to do it. So, it's so hard to pinpoint like one specific one. It's just every day, man. It's just great.
I hear. I remember when I was here too. There was a couple people who were like, doctors and stuff said I would never walk again. I'm like, really? Because you're more than halfway there. Like, it's really impressive, especially when a lot of people have gone to these like standard care, outpatient things like that, and they come to places like SCI where they're looking for that that different spark where they can kind of be in control of their own therapy. Coming here, they get a say in, like, hey, can we try this thing? We obviously work with them and say we think it's best to do this, but sure, we can give that a try. I seen that being like a big motivator for a lot of people too that came in here. Because they go home, they do all these things, and they like, man, I really want to be able to work on this, and they come here and talk with us, and then we go about it instead of just being a step by step. Like, if someone tears their ACL, there's a protocol you do. But for every spinal cord injury, I'm sure you know too, everyone is different. Even if they have the same injury, they can have different outliers that some can do this, some can do that. So
definitely. And like you said, we don't treat the condition, we treat the person. We treat the client that comes in. Whether you're spinal cord injury, stroke, or whatever it may be, if you have a goal in mind and you really want to get there, we're gonna do everything in our power to get you there. Right? Especially, we get a lot of people that come in and had those spinal cord injuries, and they want to have the opportunity to see if walking, even with like an assisted device, is possible. Right? We're never gonna say no. We're gonna do our best to try and get you there. And if it's in your cards, this is the place to be.
And that's where you get those small wins you're talking about, like, because there's more motivation behind them. And even just as simple as being able to do elbow taps unassisted, like, you see those, especially with how often you see people here on a yearly basis. You see those small wins, and at first you might not realize it, but then as a year goes by and they've been here, you're like, wow, when you came in, there was no way you were doing elbow taps on the table. So
for sure.
Cool. So this next part now, we're gonna kind of move into the virtual reality portion. So here at STI Fit Sacramento, and hopefully some other locations soon, they do use the XR therapy system by Neuro Rehab VR. And they've been using it for a couple months now, and have had a couple testimonies and clients that they've used it on. So first question, Danny, is gonna be, what was your first impression of introducing the idea of virtual reality into your facility? And then how has it transformed your perspective on patient care, just in terms of, virtual reality, what you thought originally?
Yeah, so I mean, going into it, I had I had an idea that was the next step, right, in like neuro recovery and stuff like that. But I had never really seen a system or a program that was as advanced and as tailored as the one you guys have. Just the ability to do so many different exercises, and it works with pretty much anybody that comes in through the door. I didn't think we were there yet, but I mean, definitely I was proven wrong. And I was a little skeptical at first, just because again, you got that real game factor, and I wasn't sure how, at least in my experience, how people would take it. Because people were here to reach a certain goal, and sometimes playing like a game may feel like, oh, I'm not getting the
therapy,
most of what I need to do to be able to get to where I want to. But from early on, like, people really liked it. It's different, it's engaging, it changes it for sure.
Yeah, nice. And the biggest skeptic thing too is, okay, we have people who are really low functioning. How can this serve? I think that's where we fit in really well too. Is we have that ability for someone who is lower functioning, either who is bedside or even has cognitive deficiencies. But I think that's a great answer you have. Next one is going to be, what benefits have you observed since implementing VR in your therapy sessions?
Yeah, that engagement factor. Sometimes, especially with our younger population, our kids, they tend to not really respond as well to traditional approaches, because they either get a little distracted, or it's just not enough for them, right?
Sure.
So once we bring out the Neuro VR, it changes it, right? We're able to work on that seated balance with the play ball game, stuff like that. So I think in that aspect, it's really helpful, and we've gotten a really good response from it.
Cool. Yeah, I agree too. It's that, you can use it every week if you want to, but then also if you need to shake things up, you can. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one's going to be, how have patients responded to using VR, and what positive outcomes have you witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's overwhelmingly positive. We haven't had anybody that we used it on and they felt like, oh, I don't really like it, or this is making me feel some type of way. Everyone seems to really enjoy it. And like you said, it's not something we implement every single day, but we definitely do shake things up with it, right? It gives us another avenue to get to where we're trying to get, right?
Yeah.
And what was the other part of that question?
It's just, share a story, if you can, about a particular patient that you've seen with it.
So one of the patients, we've already talked about the story, but he had a stroke, and he's just that fear and anxiety just really shuts him down. He's very strong, he can walk, he can stand, but as soon as he starts seeing other people walk around him, or there's a table in front of him, he almost freezes, right? He can't. It's almost like his body tells him no, danger.
Yeah.
There's
He's
something.
fallen before or something.
Yeah, exactly. But when we implemented the Neuro VR and used specifically the grocery shopping game, we were able to put him on. He was able to stand, and it's very straightforward. He understood what he was supposed to do, and it was like you flipped a switch, right? He was able to crouch. He was able to take a couple steps. He was able to turn and look for the items on that list, reach over and grab them with almost no problem.
Yeah.
It was like a completely different person. I had never seen him, that relaxed, right? Usually he's just really tense, and his shoulders come up and just, like I said, freezes. But when he was playing the game, he's very fluid. It looked very quote unquote normal. He didn't stumble. He didn't feel like he was falling. And when I asked him afterwards, he is nonverbal, but he is able to understand what you're asking him. And I asked him, I was like, so what'd you think of the game? And he just kept nodding his head and said, you want to keep playing? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And then afterwards, we would make it a little harder by introducing like a unstable surface or something like an Eric's pad or like a sand dune or something like that to kind of throw him off a little bit. But he was still able to complete the game without any problems.
Yeah, I guess that kind of coincides with another question I wanted to ask you too. You kind of just answered it, but in a lot of people think, you just put the VR in play, but there is actual, physical adaptations you can give them while playing the VR. And you mentioned the RX pad, an uneven footing surface while they're playing it, so they still get the, immersion of the actual VR, or even when it comes to resistance bands and anything like that. So that's really cool that you mentioned that, because a lot of people probably don't realize that you can put someone in something external like parallel bars while playing VR. That's probably another good one too. They can have one hand holding the parallel bar for assistance and still play. So there's a bunch of different things. So, you guys are using it in really cool ways like that, which is awesome.
Yeah, all our trainers here are very, very creative, innovative, and they'll find a way to make it more difficult or make it as close to as the real life thing as it needs to be.
Right, and if it gets too easy, you always want to.
You always want to one-up it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Last couple ones here. In what ways do you believe virtual reality enhances the overall patient experience and contributes to their rehabilitation? So I guess what things do you think they're experiencing from like you watching them that make them either one, think they want to keep doing it, or how, I guess in your best terms, would you explain like what are they thinking about as this is going on?
Yeah, so I think it really boosts confidence. So talking specifically about that client I was telling you about with the grocery shopping, he responded really well because he didn't know he was doing as well as he was until he took the headset off and everybody was kind of like, man, how'd you do that?
Right.
You did so well. Like how, like what just happened, right? And you can tell he was like, oh man, like really, maybe I really can do this, right? So again, like that immersion factor and take them out of the situation they're really in and put them somewhere else and have them focus solely on that.
Yeah.
I think really helps, one, the confidence factor, and then two, just putting them again in those situations in the real world. I can actually do it out in the real world, right? Like it's not just a game. Like maybe I can go to the grocery store, hold on to the cart, and look for ingredients.
Like I've done this before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Instead of it being so new, like they've never done it, so he's would be timid to hold the shopping cart versus in the environment he's actually reaching and performing these things. And then you mentioned too, he was able to like crouch and stuff. So the increased range of motion alongside of just being, immersed, that's something really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And then this is kind of like a more admin one, I guess too. Do you think the addition of virtual reality technology to your facility could attract more clients to your practice or someone else's practice?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like one, on the business side, you're always trying to see what things or what techniques, what approaches set you apart.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't think of any other just in the therapy realm have something like this.
Okay.
Right? So once you're able to advertise it and show people that we have this in addition to, I think really helps bring in more clients, more attention, more interest, right? And to see, oh well, SCI Fit has this VR system that lets you play games and it actually helps you reach your goals, right? And again, as a business, you're always looking to be different, right? And I think the VR really helps with that. One application I can think of too is we have a guy that comes in and uses our Locomat, which is our gait, robot-assisted gait modality. And I remember it was one of the very first times we had the Neuro VR, and he was specifically talking to me about how he missed being on the beach because he was from Pismo, and he was out on the beach every day.
Yeah.
Right. He was after work, before work, weekends, weekdays. It was something he really loved to do. And I thought about it. I was like, wait, but the VR system we have has a way of putting yourself at the beach, right? So I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Let me go grab it. So I put it on, and there's a video on our Instagram about it too, and he was just so blown away at how real it felt, right? It may not have been the same beach he was used to, but he was really able to put himself in that situation and in a way bringing anxiety levels down, put him in a better place.
Yeah.
Right. And just to see his reaction too, and it like you can't put it into words.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I told him, I was like, okay, well, let's get back to the gait training portion, right, of our session. And he said, no. I was like, is it cool if I just keep it on?
Mm-hmm.
Right, man. Like as long as you are thinking about moving your legs, putting you in this situation helps you, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely a game changer. I feel like if you have the opportunity, you should definitely look into it and give it its appropriate attention, because it is very different.
Could be more than someone's like thinking surface level, like originally before you got it.
Yeah. Sure.
One thing I'll add to that too is like him just being happy in that moment. Like it's a passive exercise, so mental health and wellness is something that we offer as well on there. But just especially here, offering like the total like complete care. Like you care about someone's doing it, it's making them happy. We're gonna keep doing it because especially in affected populations, there's really bad days for a lot of these individuals, and then there's really good days. So being able to be like, you know what, you're up walking right now, you feel good, we're gonna stay here for a little bit. So being able to have that, and just like back to the question, some facilities that like don't have a local mat versus you guys having a local mat, people might come here because they have a local mat. We really want that. So I feel like that's like an addition that virtual reality can add to. Like, okay, they have the same thing, but they have VR, and a lot of the patients' families do their research because they want to figure out how to help their loved one. So just having that, just having, I guess, an extra option. You never know who is interested in it or anything. So
for sure.
Cool. And then I guess this is going to kind of wrap it up here. So just really quickly, for those who are For those who are aspiring to work with special populations, what advice would you give them kind of from where you started to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, the advice I would have is just get out there. Get out there. We inherently are afraid of what we don't know, but the more we know, the more we're comfortable with it. Just don't be afraid. Get out there. Try new things, man. I love the saying, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Because that's how life is. And at the end of the day, you have to be able to continue to push yourself beyond your comfort levels to be able to improve every single day. So I would definitely say get out there. There are opportunities out there. You just have to go out and look for them.
Yeah, maybe even like try a couple different niches, strength and conditioning, affected. Everything.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like you were saying earlier that strength and conditioning has always been kind of the go-to for everyone. That's kind of what we learned the most about. But look around, see what else is available. Especially here at SEI Fit, you're welcome to come in and have an internship, learn about what we do, how we do things, and for sure, just get out there, man. Just get out there.
Awesome. Last one, I guess we can kind of wrap it in 2 in 1 here. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience about your journey, your clinic, or virtual reality in general? And then what's the best way to contact you or contact you guys about either, like you said, the internship or even just becoming here to, get therapy?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, you just got to get out there. Go out there and learn. And as far as our approach, I'll have my contact information with Drew. If you guys want to reach out to them, or we also have our Instagram, which is very active. I actually run our Instagram at SEI Fit Sacramento. DMs are always open. I can always just shoot you my email through there if you want to have a one-on-one, more personal conversation. You can reach us out there. And then the other part of that question was about my journey. It's a fun one. Nowhere near done. Just getting started. And I just can't wait to see how much more technology advances, especially with VR and stuff. I think we're in a good place. We're in a good place, and we can definitely make progress if we give it our all, and again, look out there and see what's available.
Awesome. Yeah. And so once again, we are with Danny from SEI Fit Sacramento. So if you guys have any questions, we will give you guys their contact info for internships. If you're looking for therapy in the Sacramento area, we'd be happy to share that with you guys. So lastly, thank you, Danny. Thank you to SEI Sacramento for letting us kind of come and pick your brain about a couple things, and for using our virtual reality with a bunch of people, and honestly enjoying it. We love the relationship that we have with you guys. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to Neuro Rehab VR or SEI Fit Sacramento. And thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks guys.